Hello everybody, welcome back to the Unfan Podcast. It's time for another League One predictions and preview episode of the podcast. Match week number 7. The season is flying by, but I'm certainly enjoying it, it must be said. If you're enjoying it, let me know in the comment section down below. And also, give me your thoughts and predictions ahead of your club's game on Saturday. I'll be replying and responding to all of them as per usual. Right, first and foremost, we've got an amazing person in the comment section who is actually scoring my predictions every single week. It's scary, I know. Ethan Batterson. Last week, I had a game score prediction of 10 out of 24. It's okay. It's not brilliant. It's not great. You predicted the correct outcome for 8 games and 2 bonus points were added for the correctly guessing the scoreline. I'm going to take that. I'm going to tell 8 correct outcomes is not bad. 2 bonus points for the correct scoreline. That I need to improve on. I do need to improve on the scoreline. 10 out of 24. If I can get half, I'll take it. I think half is going to be the aiming point. But anyway, Ethan Batterson, you're an absolute legend. You don't need to do that, but you're an amazing, amazing guy. You definitely deserve a shout out, and you're doing my job for me. So thank you very, very much. Right, let's get straight into it. Because, like I say, it's a full programme, 12 games of football, and a lot to talk about. Right, Forest Green Rovers against Shrewsbury Town is where we're going to start. So, Forest Green Rovers versus Shrewsbury Town is the first game we're going to take a look at today. Looking at the league table here, Shrewsbury 20th in the league, Forest Green Rovers 22nd in the league, but have played a game less, on 5 games played. Shrewsbury and most of the other teams, of course, have played 6. Shrewsbury on 6 points, Forest Green Rovers on 4 points. Both of these sides not in brilliant form, it must be said. Shrewsbury haven't won a game in their last 3. Forest Green Rovers haven't won a game in their last 4. 3 defeats out of 4 for Forest Green. 1 defeat out of 3 in the last for Shrewsbury. We'll come back to the odds in just a second. It's quite close when we look at the bookies. We'll come back to that, like I say. When we look at these recent fixtures in more detail, Shrewsbury, they haven't done amazing actually in the other competitions, which is why it looks a little bit worse. They lost to Burnley and Wolverhampton Wanderers, it's under-21s in the Papa John's on Tuesday. Looking solely at League One, drew to Shrewsbury 0-0, lost to Ipswich 3-0 and drew away against Bristol Rovers 1-1. It's not awful. A point against Derby County, you probably take that. A point away from home against Bristol Rovers, you probably were expecting them a little bit better than that, but generally, you probably take it. And Ipswich, I think not many sides are going to be getting many points from Ipswich, so I think 3-0. It's not ideal, of course, being the home side, but Ipswich, they're a top side. They're going to beat probably most teams they play this year. As for Forest Green, again, a little bit complicated. They've had a postponed game in there. 1-1 against Lincoln City, and then a 3-0 home defeat against Plymouth Argyle, the same week that Shrewsbury lost at home 3-0 to Ipswich. They lost to Brighton in EFL Cup. They lost 5-0 heavily to Sheffield Wednesday last week. I spoke to a few Sheffield Wednesday fans. They said wasn't a great Forest Green performance whatsoever. They got battered at Hillsborough. How much that affect them psychologically going into this game? They're going to have to forget about that completely, wipe that from their memories and go again because, like I say, not many positives to take from that performance. Looking at the predictions and winning odds, the bookies, how correct are the bookies? We'll find out again. Forest Green Rovers 31 to 20, 39% chance of winning. This team actually wins 35% of the matches with these odds. As for Shrewsbury, 47 to 25, the expected chance of winning is 35%, but this team actually wins 32% of the matches with these odds. So, Forest Green Rovers, the home side, are favourites. Home advantage, I'll say it once in this episode, I'll say it all the time, but it is key. Forest Green Rovers are the home side. They are the favourites in this game, but only by the skin of their teeth, about 4% in it. So, very, very close. I've backed Shrewsbury before the season started, and I think during the season as well. I think they will turn it around. They've brought some really good players in through the door. Episode coming up tomorrow, like I say, about ranking every single League One club's opening month. So that's going to be fascinating to look at. And we spoke about Shrewsbury and how sort of the transfers that they made were really impressive. They haven't worked yet, though. They are 20th. They've lost 2 games. They've drawn 3, and they've only won 1. It's so tight. I'm going to go with the draw. And I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw. 1-1 draw. In fact, look at the goals here. Both sides struggling for goals, and that's why I've gone with that 1-1 draw. 3 goals for Shrewsbury, 4 goals for Forest Green Rovers. They are lacking. Forest Green Rovers do actually concede quite a few as well. They're on 12 goals conceded. I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw in this one. But let me know your predictions, like I say, in the comment section down below. Right, let's move on to the next one then. Where should we go next? Let's go to Exeter against MK Dons, because MK Dons, they're turning things around. Hopefully, that's going to be the aim for Liam Manning, to continue on this turnaround. The first 3 games of the season were not great. The last 3, though, unbeaten in the last 3. 2 wins out of their last 3. 3 defeats, of course, 1 draw and 2 wins. Exeter, the newly promoted side, are doing quite a good job in their opening 6 games. 2 wins, 2 draws and 2 losses. Inconsistent in that inconsistency. The last game, they drew. They did actually lose the game before that, so actually haven't won a game in their last 2. 8 points from a possible, quick maths, 6 times 3. Is that 18? I think it is 18. 8 points from 18, it's not bad. MK Dons 7 from 18. We'll come back to the odds. Looking at these recent games in a little bit more detail, MK Dons a brilliant win against Morecambe 4-0. Exactly what Morecambe were dreading, to be honest. An MK Dons side on form with extreme tempo and extreme attacking football. Exactly what Liam Manning likes to play, and unfortunately they got that nightmare. 4-0 to MK Dons, a brilliant performance from them. Accrington Stanley 1-1 before that. That'll be annoying. They could easily, I think, when we look at the graph there, won that game. Accrington, though, they held strong and made sure they got a point from MK Dons. They beat Port Vale before that by 2-1. But a 4-0 win against Morecambe, that could be the big win. The big win that turns it around, because that's exactly what we like to see from Liam Manning. A strong attacking performance, normally what we saw last season on a regular basis. Looking at Exeter City, like I say, generally, it's been a really good start to the campaign for them. Recently, a little bit of a drop-off. They lost to Cheltenham at home 1-0. That'll be annoying. They beat them 7-0 in the Cup a few weeks before that. So losing 1-0, they'll be annoyed by that. They lost to Gillingham in the EFL Cup. Don't really care. And that's me being brutally honest. And a 0-0 draw against Accrington last week. So Accrington, actually, the side for both of these teams that have got a point in their last 3. They actually got beaten by Newport County in the Football League Trophy on Tuesday. But so did MK Dons, actually. Both of those sides lost 2-1. So actually, a few similarities in those last few games for both of these sides. Looking at the odds here, Exeter City 23-20. The expected chance of winning is 47%. But this team actually wins 50% of their matches with these odds. So they do exceed those expectations. MK Dons 23-10. The expected chance of winning is 30%. But this team actually wins 29% of their matches. So interestingly, Exeter are favourites. I'd say MK Dons have got the better side. I generally do believe that. I think the quality of players is it's better than Exeter, but we know home advantage. I've said it again, I apologise, is key. Exeter, they're not on brilliant form in the last 2, but generally so far this year they've done a really good job. It's tough here. It's tough. I'm going to go against the odds. I'm going to go with MK Dons win. I'm going to go MK Dons win 3-1. Exeter 1, MK Dons 3. I could be backing MK Dons maybe a little bit too much. I just believe, though, that win against Morecambe, that's going to be the confidence boost. That's going to be the sort of last year MK Dons that could sort of creep back into this season. 4-0 was a big turning point, I believe. 3-1 to MK Dons in this one. 3-1. I'm going to stick to my guns and go against the bookies there. Let me know, MK Dons fans, in the comment section down below. Liam Manning is my stepdad. What are your thoughts, Sam? Right then, let's go to the next one. Fleetwood Town against Wycombe Wanderers. Fleetwood Town, currently 14th in the league, unbeaten in the last 5. Very, very impressive. They lost the first game of the season, but since then, unbeaten. 4 draws, though, in their last 4 games. They like a draw. If they can start turning those draws into wins, they could be even higher than 14th. As for Wycombe, they are getting back now to sort of the old Gareth Ainsworth type of team, unbeaten in their last 2, a draw in their last one. Looking at those games in a little bit more detail here. Fleetwood, like I say, the draw town at the moment. Draw against Morecambe 0-0, 1-1, sorry. Draw against Cheltenham 0-0, draw against Derby 0-0, 2-2 draw against Lincoln. Draw central. It's absolutely everywhere when it comes to just 1 point there. If they can start getting those just draws into wins, which is much easier said than done for me sat in here talking about it. If they can go and do it, what I'm trying to say is they did have opportunities in those games. Derby County, a little bit of an exception when it comes to that. It did look like they were holding on for a lot of that game, but generally in those other games they did have chances and they could have maybe got more than just a point there. But generally unbeaten in the last 4, it sounds good, doesn't it? It does sound good. In fact, 5, sorry, unbeaten in the last 5. A win against Plymouth was the one at home on the 6th of July. July? Is it July? No, sorry, 6th of August. It's July. It started on the end of July. 6th of August, I should say. As for Wycombe Wanderers, some dodgy defeats sort of early on in the season. A draw in the last game against Charlton in the league, 1-1. But again, some disappointing defeats. Bolton 3-0. A home defeat. Why have we zoomed in on that one specifically? There you go. That's one of the ones we will be talking about. 3-0 against Bolton. A 2-1 home defeat to Shrewsbury. A 3-1, as you just saw there, defeat against Exeter. But a win against Barnsley away from home 3-0 was certainly one to hopefully kickstart their campaign. A draw against Charlton, 1-1. This is big for Wycombe. This really, really is. And also for Fleetwood as well. We look at the odds here. 36% chance of winning for Fleetwood. Wycombe, 40% chance of winning. The odds are 9-5 for Fleetwood. 3-2 for Gareth Ainsworth's side. Actually, Wycombe outdo their odds. And actually, they are the favourites generally with that higher percentage. So, I mean, I should back Wycombe. Every time I don't back Wycombe, in all sense of life, they always sort of do what they always do best. And that is exceed those expectations. And just go against the odds. They always do it. But they're actually, the odds are backing them here. So how will that work? I'm going to go with a draw. I'm going to go with a draw. A little bit of Wycombe pelters, I imagine, in the comment section down below. Because I'm an Oxford fan, that would be mainly the reason. I'm going to go 1-1 again. I'm sitting on the fence for the second time in this episode. I'm going to go Fleetwood Town 1, Wycombe Wanderers 1. Fleetwood continuing on their draw run that they currently go on 4 games. Can they make it to 5? Wycombe will be hoping to win this match after a draw against Charlton, so they won't want another draw as well. I'm going to go 1-1. I'm going to go 1-1. I'm going to stick to it. The more I talk about it, the more I'm going to be swayed into changing it. But I'm going to go with a point shared there, 1 goal apiece. Right then, Bristol Rovers against Morecambe is the next game. Joey Barton's Bristol Rovers side hosting Morecambe. Morecambe started the season still without a win. They are alongside Burton with a club that haven't yet won a game so far this year in their opening 6 games. 10 goals conceded, only 2 goals scored. Worrying. Very, very worrying when it comes to goals scored. Cole Stockton, their main man last year. I mean, he really has not been in the right frame of mind. He might even move by the time you're watching this. It's deadline day today. Lots of rumours surrounding Cole Stockton's future. Believes as though he's going to be going to Port Vale. That's the sort of the conversation. What a signing that would be for Port Vale. A brilliant striker. Proved it last year. He's a top centre forward. Somebody who single-handedly did keep them in the division. They are struggling without him backing the goals. 2 goals in their opening 6 games. 10 goals conceded. You can see why they are 22nd or 23rd in the league. And like I say, without a game being won. They lost their last game, drew against Oxford before that, and then a loss before that one. As for Bristol Rovers, actually in the last 3 games, they are also a side that haven't been able to get a win, but still 2 wins, 3 defeats, and 1 draw. 15th in the league, 9 goals conceded, but 8 goals scored. A much better side going forward when it goes to goal scoring ability. We look at those recent games. For Morecambe, like I already mentioned, a 4-0 heavy defeat against MK Dons. In fact, we click on that game. Did Cole Stockton play? I knew he came on against Oxford. It looks as though he wasn't even named as a substitute. Yeah, he's not in the right frame of mind. It looks as though he definitely will be leaving the football club. And you can see, without him, they really are struggling. And they look like a completely different side than they did last season. He was the danger man. And without a danger man like that, they really do need to bring in a striker that's going to score goals as soon as possible. As for Bristol Rovers, last few games haven't been exceptional. Loss to Barnsley 3-0. Pompey, a 3-1 defeat. A draw against Shrewsbury. To be fair, you look at Barnsley and Portsmouth, they're not awful sides to be losing to. They will be up there come the end of the year, as we thought they would be. But like I say, a brilliant win against Oxford before that. Who do I back here? Let's have a look at the odds first. Bristol Rovers, evens, 1-1, 50% chance of winning. Could go either way. But when the odds are like that, the actual team does win 65% of the time. So they actually do exceed their expectations with those odds. Morecambe 13-5. The expected chance of winning is 28%, but the team actually wins 40% of those matches. So both sides do actually do better when they do have those odds specifically. Bristol Rovers, though, still the favourites. I'm going to have to back Bristol Rovers here. The home side, a struggling Morecambe team, really not looking like a threat going forward. Their output this season is not good enough whatsoever. And, I'm going to go Bristol Rovers 2-0, could even be 3-0. I'm going to go with a 2-0 win to Bristol Rovers here. Morecambe aren't scoring. Bristol Rovers are going to score 2 and win the game comfortably by 2-0. So Cambridge United versus Lincoln City is the next game here. You can see Cambridge 7th in the league. 6 games played, 3 wins, 1 draw and 2 defeats. 10 points and again unbeaten. last 2. As for Lincoln City, 6 games played, 1 win, 4 draws and 1 loss. Draw central, similar to Fleetwood, winless in their last 2. 7 points they currently sit on at the moment. Looking at these last few games then, where do they stand? Lincoln City, a draw with Fleetwood 2-2. A little bit ironic there. A 4-0 heavy defeat against Peterborough United, but a brilliant win on Tuesday, the time before that, against Oxford, 2-1. As for Cambridge United, a defeat against Arsenal under-21s in the Football League Trophy, but in Sky Bet League 1, a brilliant, thrilling 7-goal thriller against Burton, where they came out on top and won that game 4-3. Before that, a defeat against Southampton in the Carabao Cup, a draw against Charlton Athletic away from home, a brilliant point you'd say at the Vale, but a 4-1 defeat against Pompey at Fratton Park there. But some difficult away grounds, and they did okay. But against Burton, a thrilling game ending 4-3, as I did in the roundup, spoke about quite a lot. Incredible scenes. Cambridge United 29-20. The expected chance of winning is 41%, but this team actually wins 69% of the matches. Lincoln City 9-5. The expected chance of winning is 36%, but this team actually wins 36% of their matches. So very, very close. Exactly the same. With those odds, they win the exact same percentage as predicted by the bookies. Cambridge United actually exceed those odds a little bit on 69%. So, where do I stand here when predicting this one? Cambridge United are favourites when we look at the bookies. Looking at that form again, I mean, Lincoln, they're not an in-form side. They're not really out of form either. 9 goals conceded, 6 goals scored. It's not an awful record to have. But, I'll win this in the last 2. Cambridge United having a brilliant year once again in League One. Certainly not even second season syndrome on the agenda whatsoever. So, I'm going to go with a Cambridge United win here, upsetting a few Lincoln City fans. I was impressed, actually, by Lincoln against Oxford. They did certainly take those chances when they came. Hopper's a brilliant striker. Scully is also looking like he's going to get back into form in League One. So I'm going to go against that there and back the likes of Sam Smith, Joe Ironside, and many others. I'm going to go with a tight 1-0 win. Tight 1-0 win. Cambridge winning that game 1-0. I'm going to try and exceed my scoreline predictions. I'm getting them very, very wrong so far. I'm doing okay with outcomes, but scorelines, I'm way off. So I'm going to be a little bit more sensible. 1-0, keep it calm. But then saying that, the goals we've seen already this year, the amount of goals, 4-3. Who would have predicted 4-3 to Cambridge in the last game? Nobody. Don't even say you did, because you definitely didn't. I know you're lying. Right, let's move on to the next one then. So Port Vale versus Cheltenham is the next game I'm going to break down here, looking at the league table. Port Vale in 19th, Cheltenham in 21st. Both sides conceding 8 goals. Port Vale scoring 5, Cheltenham scoring 4. 7 points for Port Vale, 4 points for Cheltenham. Both sides coming into this game with defeats in their last game. Looking at those defeats in a little bit more detail, Cheltenham's came against Oxford United, losing that game 2-1. Both sides with a red card in that one, full of drama. Not much quality, but certainly lots to take away from it. Disappointed with a few dodgy decisions from the referee. They'll be feeling there. Probably is quite a fair reasoning. They weren't amazing, but neither side were either. A strange penalty decision by the referee. As an Oxford fan, I'll take it and we'll run with it, but disappointing from a Cheltenham Town perspective. As for Port Vale, a defeat against Pompey at home. Spoke to a few Portsmouth fans. They said, to be fair, they weren't at their best, and Port Vale, they did give it a go. 1-0 was the final score there. They actually beat Burton by 2-0 the time before that. So did actually Cheltenham. They beat Exeter away from home 1-0. So similar in their recent form. Both sides a loss in their last game and a win the time before that. Looking at the odds, Port Vale 91-100, giving them a 52% chance of winning. Cheltenham 11-4, 27% chance of winning there. So Port Vale, the home side, are the favourites in this one. Both sides exceeding their expectations when it comes to those odds specifically. 53% and 33% normally they win with those odds. So Port Vale, they exceed and they're the favourites anyway. The Port Vale, down to the bookies, they are the favourites. I'm going to go with a draw in this one. I'm going to go 1-1. Boring 1-1 again. Well, not boring. There could be a little bit of drama in there. 1-1 draw. Everyone's seeing some goals. It's fine. But it's boring in the sense that I'm sitting on the fence again. And people will be frustrated about that. But I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw between Port Vale and Cheltenham Town in this game. Right, we're halfway through. 7th game next. Let's take a look at which one we're going to be breaking down. So, Oxford United against Burton Albion next. Normally, I like to try and avoid talking about Oxford as much as I can in these predictions. But we've got to talk about them, and they're playing against Burton at home in this game. By the way, my match reaction for Oxford against Burton will be on live radio, along with a lot of other people as well. The normal lads at BBC Radio Oxford have invited me back on to do my match reaction with them, of course, after the game. So definitely go and check that out after the match at full time. BBC Radio Oxford Match reaction, speaking to Carl Robinson as well, the manager, and I imagine the players as well, or a player or so in that one. So very, very exciting times. Back on BBC Radio Oxford at full time after the game against Burton. In this one, though, before the match, 17th for Oxford United, a win against Cheltenham, a big, hopeful turning point for me. Hopefully we can sort of build off that win against Cheltenham, take the positives from that game and run with it. Ultimately, we did need a win. The performance wasn't unbelievable, but the win was important. And taking the positives from that game was always going to be the aim. And use it as a building block, use it as a turning point. That's what I want to see from Oxford going into this one against Burton. I'm happy to say we should be okay against Burton because Burton, as you can see, are heavily struggling. Still, that win in League One, 1 draw but 5 defeats, 3 defeats on the bounce, 18 goals conceded in 6 games, scoring 7. Burton have scored more than Oxford, but of course they are conceding 18 goals. So they are shipping way too many, and hopefully Oxford can sort of pounce on that bad run of form when you look at just generally the bad run of form, but also defensively as well. They're not looking good whatsoever. Open play goals has been a bit of a problem for Oxford, a free kick and a penalty against Cheltenham. The one goal for Tyler Goodrum against Cambridge has been the only open play goal so far this season. So hopefully we can sort of use this again as another springboard. At this point in the season, springboard after springboard, that'll be the aim. Looking at the odds here, Oxford 67 to 100, 60% chance of winning, actually 87% with those odds. Burton 4 to 1, the expected chance of winning is 20%, 8% with those odds there. So Oxford are heavy, heavy favourites in this match. So, yeah, I mean, actually, when you look at the odds here, more than 2 to 5 goals both sides, very, very heavy when it comes to the odds there as well. So they do expect Burton to be shipping goals and Oxford also to be shipping goals, but hopefully scoring some goals. I'm going to go back Oxford quite heavily here. I could regret this. I'm going to go 3-0 to Oxford. Done it. 3-0. Could be a little bit arrogant, could be a little bit confident, but I'm going to be confident in believing in Oxford. Use the Cambridge United game. Cambridge United, I mean, you can use that as well. That was a good win. But Cheltenham game as a bit of positive. Take it into this one and beat Burton comfortably. That's going to be the aim. That'll be what I hope, and that's what I believe will happen. 3-0 in the one between Oxford against Burton in League One this weekend. Right then, where do we go next? We've spoken about those games there. Let's go to Bolton against Charlton. Bolton Wanderers against Charlton Athletic. Bolton 10th in the league, but have lost the last 2 games. 8 points, inconsistent a little bit. 2 wins, 2 draws and 2 losses. 5 goals scored and 5 goals conceded. So, I mean, 0 goal difference. I mean, they're conceding, not awful amount, scoring hopefully a few more. That'll be the aim for Bolton going forward this year. Their finishing hasn't been ideal. Creativity is there, but their finishing ability has been a little bit off. As for Charlton, 6 goals conceded, but 10 goals scored, 2 wins, 3 draws and 1 loss. 8th in the league, 9 points, unbeaten in their last 3, but those last 2 games have been draws. Looking at those 2 draws and those recent fixtures by both sides in a little bit more detail. The draws, the Charlton came at home against Cambridge and away against Wycombe Wanderers. Disappointed, you'd say, against Cambridge being the home side. Against Wycombe 1-1. I mean, it's always a tough place to go, Adams Park. So 1-1, you probably would take that. A win against Gillingham in the Football League Trophy. As for Bolton Wanderers, those 2 defeats in the league have come against Sheffield Wednesday at home 2-0 and away 2-0 against Plymouth Argyle. They played Aston Villa between both of those fixtures and lost 4-1. But hopefully a bit of confidence from the Football League Trophy against Crewe, beating them 4 goals to 1. So interesting times at both of these clubs. Both hoping for a promotion push and a playoff push at least. And so far this season, they are still in the mix 100%. I mean, most clubs are. There are only 6 games being played. Certainly no one is out of it. Bolton, 45% chance of winning this team, actually wins 55% of those matches with those odds. Charlton, 9-4. The expected chance of winning is 31%. So Bolton, and they actually do worse than that, Charlton with those odds. So Bolton are favourites by about 14%, so it is tight, it is close, but Bolton, the home side, they do actually have the bookies on their side in this one. It's tough. I mean, Bolton, I am swaying towards Bolton, but I do like Charlton. The way they're playing this season under Ben Garner is brilliant. And these will be 2 sides that actually play a brilliant style of play. Ian Everett's got a brilliant playing style that he likes to try and install with his players. Same with Ben Garner at Charlton. And already we're seeing that. Sometimes a bit of transition time to sort of try and get exactly how he wants his team to play. But so far, Ben Garner is really sort of seeing what he wants with his Charlton Athletic side. And they're doing a brilliant job of doing that. So, for that reason, I am going to go with a 2-2 draw. A 2-2 draw. I know I said I'm pretty edged towards Bolton, and what I will say is if there is a winner, it will be Bolton. But I'm going to go with another draw in my predictions this week. I'm going to go with a 2-2 draw between Bolton and Charlton. Two good sides going head-to-head. Good style of play. Goals, 2-2. Bolton, though, they do need to start scoring some goals. So they'll be hoping that they will be scoring something. But conceding 2, I'm going to predict there. 2-2 between those two sides in that one. So Pompey versus Peterborough United next, and looking at the league table here, Pompey, they're doing all right. 4 wins, 2 draws and no losses, still unbeaten in Sky Bet League 1. 13 goals scored alongside their opposition. Peterborough, joint top goal scorers in the league. 5 goals conceded, 1 less than Peterborough United. 14 points and top of the table after 6 games. As for Peterborough United, 4th in the league, 6 games played, 4 wins and 2 defeats. 12 points out of their first 6, out of a possible 18, of course, so far this year. Looking at these recent games, a defeat for Peterborough United, the away side in this one against Derby County. They were away from home also in that one. They had a red card in that game. Certainly would not have helped them. But before that, though, a win against Lincoln City 4-0. A brilliant result for them. Lots of goals and a good win. And a win against Sheffield Wednesday by 2-0 in that one. As for Pompey, a win against Port Vale last Saturday. An important win. Not one where they were amazing in terms of their performance level, but still an important away from home, get the job done type of performance. Tom from 4-0 and all over it. I'm sure he'll be at Fratton Park against Peterborough this weekend, cheering on his mighty Portsmouth. I am going to go with a Pompey win here. A little bit bold in my prediction. I've had a few draws already in this episode. So I'm going to go and stick my neck on the line a little bit. 3-1. 3-1. To Danny Cowley's boys. Portsmouth beating Peterborough United by 3-1. Tom, I'm sure you'll be happy about that. Tom, I know you're watching. How you doing, mate? Definitely do check out his channel, and I'm again, like I say, his vlog that will be out, I believe, on Sunday morning, or maybe even Saturday night. I think it is Saturday night after a game against Peterborough. Right, let's go then to the next one. Where shall we go next? We've still got Ipswich to go and 3 more. So let's go to Ipswich, because they'll be travelling to Accrington. So we won't actually be travelling to Ipswich, we'll be travelling to Accrington, but they host Ipswich Town in this one. Kieran McKenna's Ipswich Town, who are still unbeaten in the league, exactly the same as Pompey. Pompey, of course, top of the league on goal difference. 4 wins, 2 draws, and no defeats. 4 goals conceded, but 12 goals scored. 14 points, a draw in their last game. As for Accrington, 5 games played to 1 less than their opposition, Ipswich. 1 win, 4 draws, and no losses. Still unbeaten, exactly the same as Ipswich. A draw, a win, and 3 draws on the bounce, 7 points. So 2 unbeaten sides going head-to-head. Will they both be unbeaten with a draw after this one, or will one side be losing their unbeaten run? Let's find out. I don't know why I did like that. I regret doing that. But anyway, let's continue. Looking at the recent form here, 4-4 for Accrington against Burton, a postponed game against Forest Green Rovers, a draw against MK Dons, 1-1, a draw against Exeter, 0-0, and then a 3-3 draw in the Football League Trophy. So, draws everywhere. They did actually win that game after extra time. I know it was on penalties, against Rochdale, but generally in the league, it's been a lot of draws as of late. Like I say, still unbeaten. As for Ipswich wins against Forest Green Rovers, MK Dons, Burton, Shrewsbury, a 2-2 draw against Barnsley, and a massive 6-0 win against Northampton in the Football League Trophy. They're hoping to take some of that positivity from Northampton into this game here and continue on their winning run. Well, not their winning run, they drew the last game, you know what I'm trying to say. A lot of wins this season, 4 in total. Looking at these odds here, Accrington 25%, 29% specifically with the odds. Ipswich 91 to 100. The expected chances of winning is 52%, but this team actually wins 56% of their matches. So Ipswich do exceed it, so do Accrington Stanley, but still the away side Ipswich are the favourites in this game. I'm going to go with an Ipswich Town win here. So Accrington will lose their unbeaten run. But I want to see Accrington go unbeaten the entire year. I want to see Accrington go invincible. That's what I want. No, I don't want Oxford to go up. I want Accrington to go unbeaten the entire year. But unfortunately, I'm going against that. I'm going to go with Ipswich win here. I'm going to go with a tight, really, really tough Accrington. They're a banana skin for a lot of clubs. They might even win the game because they're so difficult for so many clubs. So hard to beat and hard to break down as well. I'm going to go with a 1-0 tight, edgy Ipswich win, 1-0 in this one. Right then, 11th game, the penultimate game we're going to be talking about in this prediction and preview episode of the podcast. Derby County against Plymouth Argyle at Pride Park. Pride Park, the home side this year that again, are really difficult. Really, really difficult. Their home form this season has been exceptional. We look at these recent results, but first of all, looking at the league table, both sides coming into this game with a win. Plymouth coming into this game with 2 back-to-back wins, but Derby unbeaten in their last 4. 5th and 6th in the league. 6 games played for both of these sides. 4 wins for Plymouth, no draws and 2 losses. Derby, 3 wins, 2 draws and 1 loss. 7 goals conceded for Plymouth, but 10 goals scored. As for Derby, a good defensive record with 3 goals conceded, but only 5 goals scored. So, good defensively, not as good going forward. As for Plymouth, good going forward, not as good defensively. Interesting. 12 points and 11 points for both of these sides. Looking at the recent games, it's been a win against Bolton Wanderers 2-0 for Stephen Schumacher's side in their last one. A great win away from home against Forest Green by 3 goals before that one. And then before that one, a disappointing visit to the Vale, 5-1 in that game. The red card certainly did not help them, but a heavy defeat against Charlton Athletic. As for Derby County, a win against Peterborough United last Saturday. A win against West Brom as well. A good West Brom Championship side before that in the Carabao Cup. Draws to Fleetwood and Shrewsbury the time before them. So generally both sides not doing bad at all. Unbeaten in the last 4, like I say, for Derby County. Both sides coming into this game with a win, hoping to take those wins and take the positives from those 3 points into this one here. So looking at the odds here, Derby County 83 to 100. The expected chance of winning is 55%, but this team actually wins 50% of their match, so exactly evens with those odds. As for Plymouth 7 to 2, expected chance of winning is 22%, but this team actually wins 12% of their matches. So not doing very well with those specific odds there. Definitely below what they expect, really, with the odds. So Derby, the home side, as we expect, Pride Park's bouncing. It has been bouncing pretty much the entirety of this year. We expect them to win at home, you'd say, probably again, and so do the bookies. But you can't sleep on Plymouth whatsoever. They're actually higher in the league, of course, with 1 extra point. So it's going to be really, really tight. Similar size when it comes to recent form, like I've already said. But Plymouth, good going forward. Derby, not as good going forward, but defensively, much better than their opposition. I'm going to go with this is so tough. I'm going to go with a 2-1 Derby win. I'm back in the Pride Park home form that they just want to continue. So I'm going to go with a 2-1 Derby County win in this one. But you can't sleep whatsoever on Stephen Schumacher's side because they will score. They will score, I predict that. So, yeah, 2-1 though. Derby coming out on top, earning the 3 points in that one. So, Sheffield Wednesday versus Barnsley is the final game we're going to be talking about today. Sheffield Wednesday, 3rd in the league, 6 games played, 4 wins, 1 draw and 1 loss. 12 goals scored, 5 goals conceded, 13 points. Back-to-back wins in League One as well in the last 2 games. As for Barnsley, a little bit lower than Michael Duff would have wanted. 6 games played, 2 wins, 1 draw and 3 losses. 8 goals conceded, 7 goals scored. 7 points from a possible 18. Looking at these recent fixtures here, a draw for Barnsley against Ipswich 2-2. They'll certainly take that at Portsmouth Road. A good draw there. Maybe Ipswich fans maybe thought they could have got more from that game, but Barnsley, they won't care whatsoever. A disappointing defeat against Wycombe Wanderers at home 3-0, but a good win against Bristol Rovers 3-0 at the time before that. As for Sheffield Wednesday, a 5-0 win over Forest Green Rovers. Brilliantly defensive performance. Clean sheet. Amazing. 5 goals scored. Amazing on the offence as well. So offensively and defensively, a really, really good performance. A win against Bolton Wanderers away from home at the University of Bolton Stadium 2-0 as well. Looking at the odds, Sheffield Wednesday 67 to 100 at 60% chance of winning. Barnsley 17 to 4. The expected chance of winning is 19%. Both sides exceeding when it has those odds there. But Sheffield Wednesday and Darren Moore's Sheffield Wednesday are certainly the favourites when it comes to the bookies. And again, you look at recent form, they certainly do look the better side as well. They will have more of the confidence you'd imagine. So, a 5-0 for Sheffield Wednesday in their last one. Barnsley 2-2 draw against Ipswich. 2 sides, again, playing against some really good oppositions in their last one. It's tough to call. I'm going to go with a Sheffield Wednesday win, though. I'm going to back Darren Moore's side, the home Hillsborough. I mean, it's not an easy place to go whatsoever, and not many sides come out of that stadium with much. Let's be honest. I mean, that's not just this season. The history of Hillsborough is absolutely spectacular as well, full of history, and sides again. And they find it difficult going there, as you'd imagine. So I'm going to go with a Sheffield Wednesday win. I'm going to go with a 2-0 win to Sheffield Wednesday. No, I'm not. I've changed my mind last minute. 3-1. 3-1. Barnsley are going to score, but Sheffield Wednesday are going to score 3, which means Darren Moore's side will be getting 3 consecutive wins. And it'll be looking good for the league table position as well. So that wraps it all up then. This is my predictions and preview for game week number 7 in Sky Bet League 1. Hopefully you did enjoy it. I've been Jack. This has been the Young Fan Podcast. Take care, stay safe, and I'll see you all very, very soon. Leave your thoughts and your predictions in the comment section down below. Until next time, I've been Jack. This has been the Young Fan Podcast, and I'll see you all very, very soon. Hit that subscribe button as well. So close to 3K. See you in a bit. Take care.